There are no prophets or apostles or Christianity. Without Israel, there is no Messiah. Without Israel, we cannot find our heritage.
When compassion becomes selective, the hypocrisy of silence among the faithful. Outside the Kenya National Archives, a crowd gathers waving Israeli flags, chanting prayers and songs of solidarity. Cameras flash, journalists record, and placards rise declaring support for Israel. To the untrained eye, it looks like an expression of faith and compassion. But beneath the noise lies a deep moral contradiction, a tragic portrait of selective empathy dressed in religious devotion. These same voices, loud in defending a foreign government accused of brutalizing a trapped and suffering population, go silent when Africans are butchered by the thousands. When Sudan burns and children die of hunger, they scroll past the news. When Congo bleeds, they barely blink. When migrants drown in the Mediterranean, they say, "It's God's will." Yet when Western powers shout, "Stand with Israel," they flood the streets in prayer rallies and photo ops. This is not Christianity. It is performative allegiance, a faith hijacked by propaganda, stripped of discernment, and reduced to a political stage. This is not Christianity. It is performative allegiance, a faith hijacked by propaganda, stripped of discernment, and reduced to a political stage. Faith without empathy is theater. The teachings of Jesus were rooted in compassion for the oppressed, the poor, the forgotten. He stood with the persecuted, not the powerful. Yet many modern believers have abandoned that moral compass. They pick causes like fashion trends, wearing the suffering of others as badges of moral superiority only when it suits the global narrative. When American conservative icon Charlie Kirk was killed, they wore T-shirts printed with his face. But when over 100,000 Christians in the Middle East and Africa were slaughtered or displaced, the same voices vanished. No rallies, no vigils, no public outcry. Why? Because those stories don't trend on Western media. Because there are no headlines that make them feel righteous or relevant. It is easier to echo the slogans of others than to confront the injustices in your own backyard. It is easier to parade foreign flags than to demand justice for your own brothers and sisters in Sudan, Congo, or Kenya's own informal settlements. The false gospel of convenience. The modern church has become comfortable with selective outrage. Preachers thunder about sin but whisper about war. Choirs sing for peace in foreign lands but remain silent as corruption, poverty, and ethnic cleansing destroy African lives. If faith has become a business, then compassion has become a commodity, bought, sold, and distributed according to political convenience. The hypocrisy is staggering. How can one claim to love Christ, yet justify bombings that kill children? How can one preach about the sanctity of life, yet ignore starvation in Sudan or massacres in Darfur? How can one raise funds for faraway nations while ignoring refugees sleeping outside Nairobi's bus stations? This is not divine love. It is hypocrisy with a cross around its neck. The moral blindness of the faithful. The rally at the archives is not an isolated event.